Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jayapataka Swami
The following is a lecture given by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami on June 3, 1985 at New Panihati Dham in Atlanta, Georgia. The class begins with a reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila, Chapter 6, Text 199 through 200.
तथापि विषये स्वभाव करे महांध से कर्म कराए जाते होया भव बंध. Translation. Those who are attached to materialistic life and are blind to spiritual life must act in such a way that they are bound to repeated birth and death by the actions and reactions of their activities. Translation with repetition. Those who are attached to materialistic life and are blind to spiritual life must act in such a way that they are bound to repeated birth and death by the actions and reactions of their activities. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita 3.9, Yagyartat karmano nyatra lokoyang karma bandhana. If one does not act as a pure devotee, whatever acts he performs will produce reactions of fruitive bondage, karma bandhana. In Srimad Bhagavatam it is said, Nunang pramatta kurute vikarma yadindriya pritayaga prinoti na sadhu manye yata atmano yang asannapi kle sada sadeha. Translation. A materialistic person, madly engaged in activities for sense enjoyment, does not know that he is entangling himself in repeated birth and death, and that his body, although temporary, is full of miseries. Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.4. A Bishoyi, a person blindly caught in a web of materialistic life, remains in the cycle of birth and death perpetually. Such a person cannot understand how to execute pure devotional service, and therefore he acts as a karmi, jnani, yogi, or something else, according to his desire. He does not know that the activities of karma, jnana, and yoga simply bind one to the cycle of birth and death. It's 200. Hano vishoya hoite Krishna uddari latuma kohonna jaya Krishna kripaya mohima. Translation. By his own free will, Lord Krishna has delivered you from such a condemned materialistic life. Therefore, the glories of Lord Krishna's causeless mercy cannot be expressed. Translation. By his own free will, Lord Krishna has delivered you from such a condemned materialistic life. Therefore, the glories of Lord Krishna's causeless mercy cannot be expressed. Report. In the Brahma Samhita 554 it is said, Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Lord Krishna is so merciful that he can stop the reaction of karma for his devotee. Everyone from a small insect called Indra Gopa up to Indra, the king of heaven, is bound by the reactions of fruitive activities. Yastrinda gopam atavendra maho swakarma bandhanurupa falabhajanamattanoti karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam govindamadi purusham tamahang bhajami govindamadi purusham tamahang bhajami. Everyone, whether like an insect or the king of heaven, is entangled and bound by the actions and reactions of his karma. However, when one becomes a pure devotee, free from material desires and from bondage to karma, jnana, and yoga, one is freed from material actions and reactions by the causeless mercy of Krishna. One cannot express sufficient gratitude to Krishna for being freed from the materialistic way of life. These two verses were spoken by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Raghunath Das when he, by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, after having the Chiradwai festival, then he was able to reach Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya gave these two and other advices. The first verse tells us how being attached to materialistic life and blind to spiritual life forces a person to act under the laws of karma and thus to be bound by the repetition of birth and death. On the other hand, how in the case of Raghunath Das or anyone who is very fortunate to be performing devotional service to Krishna, that by Krishna's mercy a person is actually freed from such a condemned materialistic life. One is freed from the reactions to one's karmas. This example given from the Brahma Samhita, that whether one's an Indra Gopam is a bug about the size of a flea. But somehow his name is Indra Gopa. Actually, and maybe it's like called aphid or something like that. About you can milk it or something. And then, of course, Indra himself, he's the very powerful living entity, higher planetary system. We find that all of them are forced to accept the results of their activities, of their material actions and reactions. When Indra committed offenses against a brahmana, then he had to make deals with people trying to get rid of the karmic reaction. So that means that he's also obliged to take the karma of his actions. So that means even if someone becomes a big powerful person in the material world, still they're bound to the reactions of what they're doing. So there's no security because the senses are so powerful, they drag us in different directions, we're forced to do certain activities, and in the end the consequences are that we have to suffer and joy accordingly. So practically speaking, by any material endeavor, no matter how powerful one becomes in material calculation, one's still bound to this law of karma. But the wonderful mercy of Lord Krishna is that He frees His devotees from this karma. That is what the meaning of karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Karmani means karma, nirdahati kintu. But, he said, for his devotee, bhakti bhajam, one who is serving him in devotional service, he nirdahati, or he takes away the karma. So this is a very sublime mercy of Lord Krishna, that if somebody engaged in devotional service, then Lord Krishna takes away the bondage of karma from them. Otherwise, everyone is swakarma bandhanurupa phalabhajanam atanoti. Everyone is bound to the reactions of their own activities, without exception. There's no exception, unless someone is engaged in devotional service. So devotional service can be begun at any point. Just like Bhakti Vinod Thakur said, Grihe Tako, Bone Tako, Sadahari Bole Dako. Whether you're living outside the temple in your home or whether you're living in the temple, everyone should start to chant Hare Krishna. Immediately begin devotional service, and then you'll begin getting the shelter of Lord Krishna so that He can free you from the reactions to your karmas. Although Krishna Himself has come as Lord Chaitanya has taken the role as a devotee. So He's telling Raghunath Das it's all by the mercy of Lord Krishna. Actually, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna Himself. So indirectly He's saying it's by my mercy, which it certainly was. Raghunath Das wanted to come to join Lord Chaitanya, but till he got the mercy of Lord Nityananda, it wasn't possible. when he fed all the devotees the chipped rice, chira, yogurt. Lord Chaitanya came in his spiritual form, and this way he was able to get out of this attachment to the material world. Sri Raghunath Das' parents were pious. They were giving donations to the Vaishnavas. But they themselves were not pure Vaishnavas. They considered that material happiness was the ultimate happiness, and they were giving donations and doing charitable work, and they thought that that was enough to qualify them to be pure devotees. But they were not actually accepted as pure Vaishnavas. Almost Vaishnavas. Lord Chaitanya used the word Vaishnavi or Prai. Prai means almost. Because still, for their own personal satisfaction, their only happiness was sense gratification. Or that's what they considered to be the standard of happiness. In the Western world, even though people believe in God, but actually they're devotees Prai. They're almost devotees of the Lord. Because although they believe in the Lord and they give donations or sometimes to their churches and other, but actually their standard of happiness, according to this very exalted Vaishnava standard, is material happiness. Therefore, they are also subject to the laws and reactions of karma. They're not trying to develop higher love or pure devotional service for Krishna. So they're definitely between the Indra Gopa Bug and Lord Indra. They fit within that scope. They're not lower than the Indra Gopa Bug, nor are they higher than Lord Indra. So they're definitely within the perimeter of those two extremes. So as a result, even though some of them are pious and believe in a supreme entity, but they're lacking this shelter. Because Krishna says He gives His shelter to Bhakti Bhajam, those who are worshipping Him in pure devotion. So this pure devotional service is actually non-sectarian. And that's what it needs to be preached and to be explained to people. Of course, some people, it's also a yoga process called Bhakti Yoga. Some people are more interested when you discuss spiritual matters in the form of yoga. Some people are more interested when it's discussed as a culture or as a religion. Because it's the most sublime, it can be discussed from any angle. I just phoned up last night after the program to Calcutta to ask how their panihati festival went at the old panihati, and they told me that there was double the attendance of last year, hundreds of thousands of people, and somehow they're able to gather together 250 kilos, or about 500 pounds, 550 pounds of yogurt to mix with the several tons of chipped rice they had. Yesterday we had to scrape the barrel to get 100 pounds out of it, but they had a lot more customers. The people, they had built bamboo walkways so the people wouldn't just rush to the distribution center. But there was such a crowd of people that they pushed over all the bamboo railings. And forget that. So it happened that one of the justices of the Supreme Court of the state of Bengal was present at the festival. When he saw the devotees distributing the prasad, he's just on the bench of the Supreme Court, he came and personally started to distribute the chira yogurt prasadam. He couldn't stop. He was going the whole day for about 6 hours. And so they said that about somewhere between 25,000 and 50,000 people got a little chiradoi through that center. And Bhakti Churu Swami, our Bengali sannyasi, He also gave a nice lecture at that function, and it's very well attended. So they of course were saying they feel a very close connection between the original Panihati, and this temple is known as New Panihati. It's like you have York and New York or something. This is New Panihati, Orleans in France and New Orleans. So Panihati was a special festival where everyone was able to come and get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And so this time also, even to this day, that festival is going on with a greater and greater attendance and enthusiasm. I remember I went to Panihati twice with Srila Prabhupada. At that time, the government representative, the congressman for that area, was a devotee of Lord Chaitanya, and he approached Prabhupada that he wanted to give that place under the care of Iskcon. Fortunately, he was elected out of office within a year or two by the present government, the left front, who haven't been as enthusiastic to give us a facility there. Prabhupada was very interested. He went there and he said that we should have a boat service that goes to Calcutta, Panihati, Mayapur, like a type of ferry service that goes every day or every other day, taking pilgrims up to Mayapur by riverboat. The Panihati there is right on the bank of the Ganges River. I remember that I'm feeling separation. Next year I want to have the Panihati festival early so I can go there to that festival. I want to organize a drama where we have devotees dressed up as Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda, Raghunath Das, and actually do the whole drama there. People go wild. Because, for instance, might have told you before that in 1977 or 76 we started on the order of Prabhupada to have this Panihati distribution of Chira Doi. And what happened the first year, we brought a whole truckload of Chira. It was just loaded. We must have had 5 tons of Chira. And we had also many containers of yogurt. So we were late. The program starts about 9 in the morning and continues till 9, 10, and 11 at night, just goes on. So we got there about 11 o'clock. So at that time, there were so many people. And it's very narrow roads. It's a very old city. The roads are just 10 feet wide. 2 cars can't pass each other. So there were so many people. But there was no way. The police said, you can't take your truck in there. And we couldn't even take the carry. We had to carry us about a half a mile to carry the loads of Chira, each weighing 100 pounds, 120. On the devotees' heads there, they couldn't go through. The crowds were so congested that there was no way of actually getting the half a mile through just a jam of humanity to the side of the Ganges. So at that time we also had a Lord Chaitanya deity with us, a little Nitya Gaur deity. We're thinking how to get them to the tree and to offer and prepare the Chira Doi. At that time, I'd walked down there to survey the situation, and there was just no way. It was like utterly hopeless. It was just, I don't know if you've ever seen it. I don't know if there's any comparison in America, anywhere, the type of density of humanity in India at some of these festivals. It took us 20 minutes just to walk there, just like this, just try to squeezing through it, somehow getting there. All of a sudden there was a blue sky, and there's one little black cloud came right over the tree and started raining. So then all of the people, they just naturally kind of all went off the road and kind of went next to the buildings to get out of the main rain, and it left a little gap of about 6 feet down the middle of the road. So then the devotees running with the Chira, the half a mile, and somehow or another they got to the tree with half the load, and the rain stopped. boom, all the people back. It's kind of like the opening of the ocean or something. So they walked back to the truck, and then, well, we had all the yogurt was there. We had all the rice there, and that was all the yogurt. And so, then the little black cloud came back and again rained. And the devotees ran with all of the yogurt. So we just used the Ganges river water to make the chira. There was no way of getting it. So they had Ganges chira. And at that time, there's so many little groups of devotees and namhatas and different groups that come there, all chanting Hare Krishna, everyone wearing tilak. And we brought the Nitai Gaur deities in. There was one kirtaniya, one kirtan singer who was chanting Hare Krishna. He saw Lord Chaitanya coming, carried by the devotees. He started to sing, Nitai Gaur esiche, Nitai Gaur esiche, panihati esiche, Nitai Gauranga. He just made this little tune-up. Nitai Gauranga esiche means they have come. Nitai Gauranga have come, they've come. Nitai Gauranga have arrived in Panihati. And then everybody started chanting, and the whole thousands of people were all looking at Nitai Gaur, raising their hands and chanting. This little, just spontaneous little greeting for Nitai Gaur. And then when the rain came, that same singer was chanting Hare Krishna. He broke off and he created another little rhyme. And he was saying, Nitai Gaur esiche, what did he say? He said, Prema Bristi, Dubai eche panihati, and then he went into a whole roll. This is Prem Bristi. Bristi means the rain. He said, this is the rain of love being sent by Nitai Gaur, coming to flood our hearts. And then, so everyone was getting all, whatever happened, they were all just going into ecstasies. So when it was raining, I saw some people on the side, they were rolling in the dust, and then the dust was muddy. Get real spontaneous expressions there. Nobody cares what anyone thinks. And actually, there was so much crowd that the people were standing even in the river taking their chira doi. It was just totally packed. So there was some caste Brahmins who had kind of like camped out on the little platform, and they didn't like it that we had come with our Nitai Gaur deities and all the chira doi, because we were kind of encroaching on their hereditary annual place where they got a little donations. So we said, listen, we'll give you a couple pots of chira doi, we're going to offer it here. So we prepared 108 containers of chira and doi. Their clay pots are broad mouths, so we decorated very beautifully. And the devotees are holding cloths around the platform so that it couldn't be seen while it was being offered. And then we sprinkled cardamom and scented aguru, rose water all over the top, put the tulsi, and we had 108 pots all decorated, like here, with little puris and samosas, or rather rasgullas and things like that. And then the devotees are holding a curtain around, we offered, and then when we took away the curtain and all of the thousands of people that were there could see the 108 offerings, they went wild. Haribo! Haribo! So then we did an arti, and then after that we gave the 2 pots to the priests. They're very happy. Nice decorated pots and chira doi, mangoes. And this time of the year there, you get mangoes, lychee nut, jackfruit, 7 kinds of bananas, all kinds of fruit, tropical fruit in great abundance. You can buy for 60 cents. Used to be able to buy, at that time we could buy about 100 pounds of mangoes for 60 cents. They'd come off the truck on the head. These people, the what they call coolies there, the porters would be sweating, carrying the load of the huge mangoes, and they'd go for auction, 6 rupees for 1 head load, which is about 60 cents. So there's abundance of fruit and everything. So when we had all those pots and all of the, the devotees, the thousands of pilgrims that were there, they were waiting for the mercy. So that was our first year. No one really knew what to expect. So one visiting devotee from America, he thought, well, let me go and distribute to the crowd. He just took one in his hand and he walked out into the throng of humanity to give prasad. But the people went wild, prasad! And it looked, you just saw him holding the pot up and it was like thousands of hands going up to get the prasad. And then suddenly he like disappeared. It was like kind of merged. And we looked, he was gone. About 10 minutes later, he crawled between the feet of two people and crawled back up. He said, this is not the way to distribute. So then another devotee was trying. He climbed on top of a tree. And he was up on the tree with one pot, and the people were like birds holding their hands and handing it down. These are all very amateurish kind of attempts of, although even to this day, even they build bamboo. Once the people, when they see prasad, even though they just take a small quantity, a handful or two, but they become very excited because they know it's very holy, sacred food, blessed prasadam. So finally, we did this for 2 years, and then it became so, because the crowds became so huge, they've now given us a separate park about 100 yards from there. We build our own tent, and we have our own distribution facility because it's just too pandemonium there. For those first 2 years, it was very historical. But somehow or another, we started to give out the prasadam from a vantage point. And 1 year we took our boat there. We have a 40-foot boat that Prabhupada inaugurated called the Jayapataka. Lord Nitai Gaur established on that boat. Right now it's being renovated. It had been stolen, so we got it back and now we're renovating it. So that time the boat was in good... it can go, even it's gone in Bay of Bengal all the way to Orissa. It's a sailing boat. It's 12 feet wide and 40 feet long, so it's a nice temple room in the center of it, 17 by 12. It's big enough for 20 people, 30 people. 12 devotees can sleep in the temple room and on the deck. It's very nice. So, we made the chira the next year on the boat, and from there the devotees were handing over their head to the platform right from the river. That was a lot easier. And then we took the boat around with Nitai Gaur in a big circle on the Ganges, and all the people on the river were chanting and raising their hand, chanting to Lord Chaitanya. Now it's a regular program where we have a separate pandal, separate tent for distributing. But it's very nice to see how the culture of Lord Chaitanya is still so enthusiastically being followed by many of the people of West Bengal and East Bengal as well. I just remember the first time when Prabhupada took us there and he told us that we should try to do something. He said that because all these people come there under the tree, we should build our temple in such a way that the ground floor is open. And the temple is on the second floor. So the ground floor is just like we build a cover for the whole area. And then the temple is up. The people go up by a stairway up to the temple, which should be above. It's kind of a dynamic idea. This is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, that just by chanting Hare Krishna, taking simple prasadam, one can actually spontaneously, very easily practice this type of devotional service. But the result is that actually one becomes free from the bondage to karma. One transcends the levels of karma, jnana, and mystic yoga. This is very sublime. The one thing I felt by going to these different festivals, or even here yesterday, was very blissful with all of the devotees. The statement by Vrindavan Das Thakur, where he said, Adyapiha Lila, Kore Gorarai, Kono Kono Bhagyavan Deke Bare Pai. That even today, the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are continuing. And those who are very, very fortunate are able to see. And certainly Lord Nitai Gaur were present, and they accepted the devotional service of the devotees. And those who were fortunate, they are able to, if not see it, at least many could feel it and could experience a wave of transcendental bliss. Certainly some even have been able to see the presence of the Lord. So we should certainly be very grateful to Lord Chaitanya Nityananda, very grateful for Srila Prabhupada to have come and brought this special mercy of Lord Chaitanya, to have inaugurated these different festivals all over the world, which are able to uplift people very easily to the transcendental platform. Certainly we're very grateful, we should be very grateful to Lord Nityananda, the original spiritual master, who has shown that without the mercy of the spiritual master, one cannot approach Lord Chaitanya. One first has to surrender to the spiritual master, take his guidance, take his shelter, and then by the mercy of Guru, one gets the mercy of Krishna. By the mercy of Krishna, one gets the mercy of the spiritual master. Just in conclusion, also Prabhupada had made a special charitable trust called the Bhaktivedanta Charitable Trust for preserving these holy places. So I was very fortunate in the research work of that trust. I'm the permanent chairman of it, to visit the birthplace of Raghunath Das Goswami, which was very close to the ancestor of Srila Prabhupada, Udaran Datta Thakur. It's a very nice place on the side of a little river. And there are some original things of Raghunath Das there, of his place where he had sat. They kept the stone. And it's a very nice little temple. So feel very fortunate that we're able to preserve these holy places, and so that in the future the devotees from the West will be able to go and visit all of the historical, spiritual pilgrimage places throughout Gaur-Mandal Bhumi. Prabhupada took us near there to the place, the temple of Udaran Datta Thakur, where Lord Nityananda had bathed in a river and lost his ankle belts, his nupuras. And to this day, no one has been able to find those nupuras. It is predicted that some fortunate devotee will go there and recover those nupuras from that pond. So maybe one of the devotees from here will be able to collect those nupuras. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Any questions? Yes? We have secured a place, but we're negotiating with the government on certain terms and things. There's a tenant on the property. We have to buy the tenant off and relocate the tenant. Some progress. It's right opposite the birthplace of the Samadhi of Haridas Thakur. It's the place where Bhaktivinoda Thakur had performed his bhajan. The last 3 years of his life. We have to build a temple the same size as the Jagannath Puri temple. That land's a little small for that. So we build exactly the same temple with Chankirtan Jagannath will come in. At that time, we had estimated it cost only $3 million to build it. I think now it's due to inflation. Yes? It's 216 feet. 22 stories. Is that a tall building in America? 22 stories? Prabhupada Samadhi will be 20 stories in Mayapur. Well, Jagannath Puri temple is made out of huge sections of solid stone. They haven't figured out how it could have been built. On the top of it, there's a section of solid stone, which weighs maybe 100 or 200 tons. It's 40 feet. It's one solid, huge, 4 big pieces. No one, they can't figure out how they got it up there. There are no cranes. Even at the cranes, they can't. Said it was actually built by mantra. Because the materialists, they speculate they built a huge mountain of sand and slided it out. That itself, how would you put so much sand up? 200 feet high, sand's falling. That itself would be a pretty good feat. It's not made out of it. It's made out of big pieces of stone. Huge, like 20 feet by 15, 20 feet. There are many temples like that in India that defy modern architecture and engineering. You're in electrical engineering, so maybe you can study how they did it. Any other questions? I'll write it down later. Karnika. 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 What's that? Spelled it right. Any other questions? It's one of the 1,000 names of Radha. Karnadara means captain of the ship, one who's piloting the ship across the ocean of birth and death. Karnika, like Sevika, is the feminine. It seemed to me that Karnika means the one who guides the devotee across ocean of birth and death to pure devotional service of Krishna, or guides one in one's devotional service. But I haven't seen the name used, apart from it's one of the 1,000 names of Radha. So I couldn't say where to study up on it. There's a few extra prashads anyone wants.